Can everybody hear me properly? Okay. So we have started a bit late, but so I will try to make sure that my talk to you stays within the 30 minutes that we agreed on. So if you are trying to, learn from me which career you should choose and what should you be after 10 years, you will not get that answer here, right? Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, you choose the career 50% and the career chooses you 50% as well. It's not the straight line that you decide. But what I will do is, I'm doing a bit of a self-publicity here as well, which I'm, I think, entitled to right now. I'll tell you what you are seeing in the background here. But I just came back from a hike. I went to the Everest base camp about a week ago. And this actually happened to me. So I was lying down on the way back one day and I realized that I want to see what this hike has taught me as a person, as somebody who's running a company, for example, or as a student who is trying to look for the next career. And it is surprising that I found the life lessons from these 11 days. And I think they actually will hopefully inspire you to choose the right career, okay? Because today you are no longer in the environment where you can decide when you graduate from the university which company you will be 20 years from now and which position you will have 20 years from now, okay? What we are living in the age not of the degrees but of the skills. So what will be more important for you 10 or 20 years from now is what do you have in your backpack. And of course I had a backpack when I went to this hike as well, okay? So let's see if this works. It does. All right, so who am I? So I told you I love the mountains, which is fine. Good to be in Islamabad, not too far to go for the hikes as well. My name is Zoraez Tariq. So I'll talk to you about these 5 subjects, hopefully in 20 minutes, so I can allow a few questions, not a lot of questions, because we have our chairs waiting for the technical sessions as well, okay? So my name is Zoraez. Nobody calls me that. They all call me Zoro. So you are friends now, so you can all call me Zoro as well. This name was given to me by my company, and you will be surprised to know I don't look that old, but on 16th of November, I will be 25 years in SLB. Okay, so my first company since I joined, and the big question that comes to everybody's mind today, especially in the younger generation, is how can you stay with one company for 25 years, right? And I have been searching for this answer because I'm not the only one, and SLB is not the only company. There are a number of companies out there where people spend long times, right? 25 years, 30 years. So what's the reason that that career stays in one company? For me, the answer was, it was never stagnant. Every 3 years, it was a different country, a different position, a different silo I was working in. So essentially, every 3 years, you get the feeling you're in a new job, while it's the same company. Because your manager changes, your peers change, your culture changes, your customer changes, right? The society that you're living in changes, so you feel new every 3 years. And that is, I think, what has kept me personally going, right? Family, so on the left is my family at home, and on the right is my family at work. My current assignment, I'm the managing director for Pakistan and Yemen, okay? And I've been in this position for almost 4 years now, okay? All right, so next go to the next one, if it goes from there. All right, so I told you that I will tell you the life lessons from the base of Everest, and hopefully they will inspire you to realize that what career means to you, okay, and how you can progress in whatever you're doing. Because like I mentioned before, what you're doing today will not be the job that you will be in 20 years from now, right? You will get better opportunities. You may specialize in a totally different environment, right? You may specialize, you're a petroleum engineer. 10 years from now, you might actually be a CTO, a chief technology officer for a company specializing in IT, artificial intelligence, and machine learning. It can happen. You can be a geologist today, involved in large-scale operations. Tomorrow, you could be a project manager for a large refinery. Okay, or you could be a supply chain manager because you have handled large inventories of products or produce from the refinery as well. So the careers vary, okay? Next one, please. Okay, so now this is the 5 lessons that I learned myself, and I think they are applicable to when you start your career. the first picture you see is basically the stuff I was putting together for the journey. Okay, so when you look at this picture, you have my standard t-shirts, and then you have the snow gloves and the hiking shoes, which I will need when I reach, let's say, 5,000 meters, right? This all has to be planned at the beginning. If you start your journey and down the line you realize that you have missed what you needed at that part of your journey, you cannot continue the journey. So what is important is for you to realize early on in your career, which is 3 to 5 years, which direction you need to be 20 years from now. So when you are 3 to 5 years in the career, in my opinion, you decide, okay, 20 years from now, I need to be in management, I need to be in finance, supply chain, HR, I need to be technical or I need to be non-technical. And based on that, you start filling your backpack. And when you say you fill your backpack, these are the skills that you start adding in your backpack, which you will need for the times to come. Because when the opportunity comes 5 years from now and you don't have the right skills in your backpack, you will not be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Okay? You will realize, and I mentioned this to my daughters as well, your GPA from your university is the entry point. After that, it's your first job. 5 years from that point onwards is your last 5 years experience. 15 years later is your last 2 positions. Okay? That is how the headhunters will target you. So you need to realize where you want to be 15, 20 years from now. Some people are technical. I topped my university in engineering. I never wanted to be an engineer. I always wanted to be a manager. I realized that early on that I'm not technically savvy enough to go into research, for example, or technical direction, right? So I chose a different field. Some people are very strong technically and they might pursue. But then you have to realize, for example, that a technical career may need a PhD. Okay? So that has to be in your plan. Because if you don't have it 10 years from now in your backpack, you will not be considered for that role. Okay? The second thing, bite what you can chew. So what you see in this picture, this on the top is not very clear, is the peak of Everest. So this is from day 2 of the track, right? So you know where you are going. It looks very far, right? But how you achieve it is by taking the steps at your pace. Because if you overexert yourself, you will be out of breath. You'll be too tired and you will have to stop. Can you hear me? Yes. So you will be too tired to walk. Okay? So this is true for the career as well. Sometimes what we do see when we start hiring people is that they want to go too fast without having the sufficient experience in the current role. So if you start moving in that direction, sooner or later, you realize that you don't have the skills to manage the elevated position that you are in. So go at your own pace. Some people will be able to go faster. Some people will be able to go slower. Not everybody is the same. Some people like to move every 2 years. Some people don't like to move every 2 years. Some people want to stay 4 or 5 years in a job. It also depends on the type of role that you have, right? So please make sure that you understand your nature. Don't compete with everybody else. On the hike, I met a number of hikers. You know, I'm a bit of an average speed. Some people are slow, some are fast. Who cares if I reach at 1 p.m. and the other guy reaches at 3 p.m. or 3:30? Who cares? This is not a race. You're competing with yourself. And so is the career. This is something which I would like to advise people, that sometimes we look around ourselves and we start thinking, my class fellow has reached there and this person has reached there, right? And then we start taking some actions in our careers which may not be correct. You just want to go to the next position without realizing whether that expertise that you're going for is actually something you want to do or not. If I'm not happy on this trail, I cannot do it. If you're not happy in your career, you will not progress. This is a fact. You can stay unhappy for 6 months, but you cannot stay unhappy for 20 years. So, then climatizing yourself. And this is true again. What does it mean, climatizing? So I'm at 3,000 meters. I want to go to 4,000, come back to 3,000. Short trips, 3 hours hike. Similar for your career. Now, let's say you are in a technical role, and now you want to move to supply chain. Okay? You want to test it out. You need to challenge yourself. Don't be scared of taking the challenge. That does not mean that you burn your boats. It does not mean that you're not ready to come back. You're testing yourself in a new role. You realize it's good or bad for you, then you come back. And if that was good for you, you take the next big step. Okay? But this is how you add the skills. You add the skill by climbing up to an unknown territory where you have not gone before, with the will that if I'm not feeling good, I have the will to come back. Otherwise, I'll get very sick. So same is happening with a career. You go up, you try something totally new, with the will that, okay, I'll give it my best shot, but if it doesn't work for me, I will not stay there for long. I need to come back to where I feel stronger. Okay, because that's where you will progress. Okay? Then stamina or speed. This is the yak, which is basically the animal that they use in the higher mountains to carry the heavy loads. So the question is, what is your strength? It is stamina or speed for a company, for an individual as well. Do you like to run fast? Or do you like to take your time but carry heavy load? So for example, in a career, what's a bigger role? A bigger role could be managing director of a country. Agreed. But a bigger role also could be marketing manager of 10 countries. You can grow vertically, you can grow horizontally. Right? So which one are you? You want to grow this way or you want to broaden your scope this way? Okay? Because the challenges that you will feel this way will be the same as you feel in the horizontal expansion as well. Okay, so don't be shy to think that I can only grow vertically. You can also grow horizontally. You can add more skills to yourself by saying, I want to be the marketing and technology manager. Okay? I want to be the exploration and development manager for smaller companies, for example. Okay? I want to be projects and exploration. Okay, that is how you gain the skill set. You're not growing vertically, but you're gaining your capability to be hired more. Okay, and finally, of course, this is a beautiful shot. I took it. This is the last light kissing Everest peak at the sunset. When you've reached your point where you want to be, what is next for you? Because realize that the sense of achievement is short-lived. This dopamine that we all humans have, where you get an achievement and you feel the same thing for projects, when you're doing projects, when you're achieving a tender, when you're bidding, when you're winning a concession, when the well delivers on time, when you do a well 50 days ahead of time, the feeling is very elevated. But then you will also feel that once you've done the celebration, you feel drained because the dopamine is gone. So now you have to set for your team as a manager and for yourself as an individual, what's next. Okay? Life today, for you especially, I'm talking to the younger people, my mentors here in the front, I learn from them. For the younger people, you have to learn and unlearn continuously. And this is the environment you will grow for the next 20, 25 years. You will have to learn the skills. Today you will learn artificial intelligence and machine learning as a side subject. 5 years from now, most probably the petroleum engineering curriculums will include AI and ML algorithms to be part of that assessment, right? 10 years from now, you will need to be a guru in using the system software which can run AI and ML. Okay, so the things are changing and evolving very fast. You cannot stay at one point. You will have to learn and unlearn. Don't be shy.